the secret layer that nobody's supposed to know about where car lifts are present. I'm Joe, and this is my 1966 Pontiac GTO. People have been telling me that I should document this, and I agree. So we're going to kind of make a video going through everything we're going to be doing to this car, including the engine removal and rebuilding the engine and some other fun stuff we're going to be doing. The transmission's already out of the car. We're going to replace it with a Tremec TKO 600. I'll have all that on film, so the fun stuff you'll get to see. What sparked this build was a harmonic dampener failure. Like they typically do, this one cracked right on the keyway. I'll show you here in a bit, and fractured, and a chunk, a few square inches in size actually broke off of it. It took out the front seal and chewed up the front of the crankshaft a little bit and sprayed oil all over the engine bay here. Being an engine builder and having access to the facilities here, I just decided we're going to pull this thing out and completely rebuild it. It's a perfectly fine, good running engine. It doesn't leak. It's been in the car for almost 10 years. Absolutely no complaints. Knowing me, I can't keep my hands off of it. If we're already this deep into it, we're going to pull it apart and change the camshaft out and pistons, and I actually have another engine block for this thing that I had acquired last night thanks to my friend Austin Mays. This is a 1975 casting 400 Pontiac block, and according to the internet, they don't handle very much horsepower. Even though this thing has run for almost 10 years in its current 400 to 450 horsepower state, I want to shoot for a little bit more than that this time around, and this block's just not going to handle it, apparently. So I don't want to take any chances. Austin showed up last night with a 1969 Ram Air 3 4-bolt short block, completely unmolested virgin block, and I tore it apart last night. The engine block looks like it's in good shape and totally usable. So we're kind of going to do what we're referring to as a block swap. I'm going to try to use as many parts out of this motor as I can, transplant it into the other engine block, and do a little bit of stuff to the cylinder heads. And talk so far is we're going to try to squeeze a big old turbo under the hood of this car, which I think will be a lot of fun. One of the bigger reasons why I want to get all this documented. So I'll grab the GoPro and do a little walk around on the car and just give you a better look at the car in its current state right now before we tear it down any further.
What do you want? Hello. This is Izzy. This is my dog. She's amazing. Izzy Coban. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, her formal name is Isabel, but let's be real, nobody calls you Isabel, right? Yeah. So again, my 1966 Pontiac GTO. Well, it's as much of a GTO as it can be. If you were to look at the VIN number, it would tell you that it's a 1966 Pontiac Le Mans Sport Coupe. But I like to liberally call it a GTO. This car was owned by my father's good friend, and he does body work. This car started out as a Le Mans Sport Coupe, and the entire front end of the car, the fenders, the hood, the bumpers, the grille, everything is off of a factory 66 GTO. The whole dashboard Same story out of a 66 Pontiac GTO. Seats, the interior, everything. 66 GTO. Fortunately, this car had a mini resto done, and a drunk driver ran into it at a stoplight, rear-ended it. So actually, the entire rear of the car is also off of a 1966 Pontiac GTO. So this thing might actually be more Pontiac GTO than a lot of Pontiac GTOs out there, considering that most of the body panels and interior pieces are actually factory GTO parts. Anyway, that's why I like to liberally call it a GTO. I know that the truest, purest Pontiac people will totally disagree with me there, but I don't really care for those people anyway. Sorry if you're one of them. Anyway, just kidding. So here's the inside of the car. It's filthy in here. The shifter's missing because, you know, we took the transmission out already, but you get the idea. Probably already noticed the thing that separates this car from most GTOs is the fact that it's what most people refer to as a post car. That just means it's a coupe instead of a two-door hardtop. The difference being that there's another post here. I prefer that. It's a stronger body, but a lot of people prefer the look of the two-door hardtop. Actually, the window here and the rear window here mate together here with a like a aluminum chromy trim piece that separates the two. And actually, if you roll this window down and that window down, this entire area is completely open. Whereas in this car, it's still two different panes. The other difference being, when you open the door, the window is completely boxed in. Typically with two-door hardtop, which most GTOs were, it'd be kind of like, well, this is kind of a bad example because it's a completely different vehicle, but this is my 1984 Chevrolet Corvette. But when you open the door here, you have the door and just the glass. And then the glass seals up against the rubber there. That's how this car would be if it were a two-door hardtop. I could be wrong, but I've heard that they did make a few GTOs as a post car or two-door coupe in 1966. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. So this either looks to you like a really well-cloned Le Mans or a very rare GTO. However you want to look at it. This is the current power plant. 400 block, 35 over stroker kit, 461 cubic inches. It's been a great motor, a lot of fun. I actually sprayed it for a little while, just with a plate, like a 100 shot. That was a bad idea, but it was still a lot of fun. Didn't break anything, but this has been a really good car. I mean, I drive this thing all the time. If it's nice out, I drive it. So it's certainly not a trailer queen by any length, but it's four-wheel power disc brakes. I'll probably be upgrading those, something a little bigger. I want to be able to stop this thing. It's not exactly light, and it's not going to get any lighter either. You know, a lot of people, first thing they do is remove weight because light is fast, and that would be the smart thing to do if you want to go fast. But I drive this car and I want to keep it completely together, full interior, So if anything, we're just going to make the car even heavier, but we'll compensate for that with more horsepower. So anyway, at the end of the day, this thing needs to be a very reliable, streetable, pump gas car. I plan on road tripping it next year. I've got a couple road trips in mind. You know, it's going to look good, it's going to go fast, it's going to be reliable, and it's going to have a lot of miles put on it.
Just got the motor out of the car. Time-lapsed that. I hope it looks okay. It actually came out really smooth. Not used to that. It came right out. Nothing, no snags. All the wires were out of the way. It went almost too smooth. So now I'm gonna start tearing this thing apart. I'm draining the oil right now, and it doesn't look so good. I don't know when that dampener broke. Actually, I need to show you that. So the dampener broke. You should be able to see this. But right on the keyway, I guess it's pretty common for these things to crack on the keyway. Well, it cracks. It did crack, obviously, and then it spread and ended up breaking this entire chunk off. And this had been having intercourse with something else, because you can see a pretty big groove in it. And it looks like it may have been running this way for probably a little bit too long. But my concern is, one, I hope I didn't beat up the nose of the crankshaft too much, and the second would be how much debris from all this polluted the motor. I mean, where it is, if anything, any debris would fall directly straight into the oil pan, and I'm just praying that it didn't circulate and make its way up to the camshaft and lifters and just anywhere else. So we'll see. It is what it is, but this is what happened. I meant to show you this earlier, but this is what started the whole build here, is this. And, actually, the way I discovered that, I was going to take the car out for a spin, and just happened to lift the hood and make sure that the belts and everything were still on. There's nothing stupid was going on. And it was a good thing I did that, because the first thing I noticed was there was oil all over the front of the motor, and it had flung oil all over the front of the engine bay, all over underneath the hood, everywhere. When I looked down in there, and I noticed something wasn't right. So later that day I jacked it up, and I rolled the motor around until I saw that part of the dampener, and realized that's not good. I'd been told just replace the front seal, replace the dampener, and get on with your life, but I don't want to do that, knowing that there's a potential that that could have polluted the oil and damaged things, and there's no point in running it, until things do get broken. So, but it did run just fine up until that point. So it, never smoked, didn't make any funny noises or anything. But anyway, so motor's out, and I'm going to start tearing it down. I think I'm going to do that in time lapse. I'm going to take my time. I want to really inspect everything, and if I do it on camera, you'd probably get so bored, and the video would be so long. But anyway, that's where we're at right now. I'm going to tear this down, clean everything, make a pile of good, make a pile of bad, and come up with a game plan.
torn down. Boy, was it dirty inside. You could probably see. I found some things that were really scary, and then I found some things that were also sort of a good thing. I guess good things. I don't see any excessive wear on anything. It looks like this crankshaft is just fine. It's not clean yet. Once it's clean, I'll be able to have a better look at everything. But from initial inspection, everything looks really nice. But I did find some things that were very scary. A couple of the dowel pins that locate the main caps fell out, and they were just bouncing around inside the crankcase. And I know they were because the ones that I found actually came out of the bottom of a couple pistons. I also found the rest of the front main seal
wrapped around a connecting rod. That's also not so great. And I found a chunk of cast iron, really sharp, about maybe 1.5 inches long. I found that in a piston as well. Not ideal things to have rolling around in your oil pan, but it doesn't appear that any damage has been done. It's just one of those things that just really glad caught. And one of my friends was telling me that I should have just put a new dampener on the front of this motor and immediately put on the engine dyno just to see what it made before, which would have been really cool and isn't a totally terrible idea. I really didn't want to do it. After the dampener broke, I don't know what was going on in here, and I'm glad we didn't dyno it, because I don't think it should have ran anymore with things like that floating around in the oil. Next line of business is to thoroughly clean everything and look it over. I feel good. I think everything's going to be all right. All the parts, I should be able to reuse whatever I want to reuse. Even the pistons, I mean, they're not clean, but they don't look bad at all. The skirts, they don't look like they really have a whole lot of miles on them, and I know how many miles are on them. And a little bit of rod bearing wear, but nothing really bad. One of the main bearings is edge riding a little bit. That's pretty common when you deal with a Eagle crankshaft or scat or anything of that quality. So nothing real serious to be concerned about. But this block, I'm going to clean up. Obviously not going to use it. I see now why the internet was saying that these blocks are not ideal for making a lot of horsepower. There is a lot less material here on the main webs than that other block. The one we're going to use, the 400, the 1969 casting. This is a 1975 casting. These main webs are way thinner. I wasn't expecting that. I mean, I knew there was a difference, but yeah, I mean, these blocks aren't even close to the same in terms of what appears to be main web strength. Well, here comes Izzy, right on cue, doing her hourly patrol of the building. Well, anyway, okay, so that's it for tonight. It's late. It's Saturday. Izzy's tired. I'm tired. We're going to wrap things up, and stay tuned.